Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Michelle, you were early. Yep. Hi, Maverick. How are you? Sitting out on the porch this afternoon and this evening, and greetings and blessings to everybody. I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healings, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. I tip my hat to all you good folks out there who are staying with it. Sorry, I'm going to have to move this camera around a lot, so there may be noise, scratchy noise. Sorry about that. But anyway, so I was thinking before I started putting this wall together, um, and in the last stages, I'm trying to. My whole house has been an experiment over the years, okay? And I've used Duggar's out in the yard playing with a soccer ball. Hey, boy, what you doing? Come here. What do you got? Everybody wants to see Duggar. He's on the other side of the door there. What do you got? Bring me the ball. There he is. There's Duggar. What you doing, boy? What you doing? Say hi to everybody. You want to play, huh? Usually he runs off. That's my dog Duggar and my yard and my truck and the canoes in the background on top of the car back there, and there are two kayaks on the ground right there. But anyway, so welcome to my crazy place. Well, if you don't know who I am, I'm David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I hope that in your world you're doing as well as possible. So anyway, hi slightly slanted. Yeah, say that 3 times in a row. Love to you all, and Ian, good to see you. So anyway, this is just sort of I've tried different building techniques with my house. I've got stackwood, cordwood walls in the house, which one of these days maybe I should just walk around and kind of give everybody like I did this wall here like this, and my whole bathroom is a a big large brick and concrete hot tub that hasn't worked in about 15 years, but which I would like to fire back up. But anyway, this end of the house, um, that's that's my well house there, pump house kind of thing, and that's uphill, okay? And if you can see across the field there, that's I'm at a low point. It's uphill all the way that way. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's uphill. So anyway, when it rains, the amount of water that comes down the hill at the house and the distance between the pump house and where I'm sitting isn't that far. So, but the amount of rain that falls between the pump house and the house here would literally flood this area. And I've got landscaping and ways to try to divert the water to either side of the house, sort of like the bow of a ship, right? So the water coming down the hill, it comes in this way, and I'm diverting it this way. But what's happened is when it rains so much, and it's not very often, but when it does, it's a problem. And I'm sitting above the swamp by about 6 or 7 feet here. When you go out the back down here and into the woods, um, it drops really quick and it gets wet quicker as well. Which in some cases is really good. It's nice that it's boggy right now back there because there's a lot of groundwater, and behind that little shed up there is where I hand dug my well. It's about 22 feet, and I don't like folks snooping around here because they would probably have me close that off. Oh, it's dangerous, and you're going to die from it. I've been living off that water for over 35 years, and I ain't dead yet. Um, the worst that's wrong with it is I'm picking up mud still from the bottom, and I need to change filters again, which I bought some new filters with um, a tighter micron. But anyway, to what I was doing with the house. So um, I was trying to think of a way that I could get a really 4-inch thick floor because where I'm sitting, sorry if there's too much noise. I'm gonna try to do this quietly, but this is my south facing, okay, where my truck is, And down here where that's the edge there. There's my doorway. There's my little front porch out there. Okay. And there's where the wall is. And then coming down in this way. And there's the corner. So I'm sitting here in the corner of my new porch. So the walls are only going to be 1 block high from the floor. And then it's going to be a wall. And I've got windows that are stacked back up over here, behind here, that will turn this thing into a porch up about 5 feet. So rather than have a wall higher up, I wanted more sun to come in and hit the floor. So what I'm doing is I had to dig down a good distance because of the water problem I was just talking about with the amount of water coming up. It would literally come up through the floor in my kitchen, which is right behind that window. Whoops. Sorry for any noise. That's my bay window that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to take the floor all the way to there and knock out that concrete block at the bottom underneath that window, and then open it up into my kitchen. So this will turn into one great big room. It won't just be a porch. I'll be connecting this porch into the current kitchen. So, and it makes more sense as far as the house is concerned. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. But anyway, so I decided that I have tried different types of flooring and things and stuff. Most of my floor is concrete. But out here, I was like, I really wanted a decent amount of concrete. But concrete sometimes isn't just a good enough source of being able to hold heat. Okay. So, and what I learned through, my years of working with the weatherization program for the Department of Energy years ago, and helping whoa, that was right behind the house. Duggar, where you at? Folks around here will shoot a dog if they're in the wrong place. Not too many, but when they get agitated enough, some of these old feebles, and I'm praying that if they do shoot at Duggar for whatever reason, their eyesight's bad and they'll miss him. But Duggar. So anyway, in my effort, there you are, boy. You stay over here. You good boy. You come here. You come here and you thank you. Yeah, you scare me when you run off like that. Yeah. You scare me during hunting season. Yeah, you stay here. Say hi to everybody. Say hey, Duggar. Say hey, Duggar. Yeah, did that scare you? Well, you stay here, okay? Yeah, you stay here, all right? All right, I'm talking to our family here, showing them around a little bit. So anyway, opportunity to, kind of just, I invite y'all to my house and to come camp and, and do whatever and congregate and hang out, whatever. So this is the best I can do. I can show you what I'm doing with my porch. So to continue with that, I decided that I would take concrete block, what they call a partition block, which is normal size block in height and width, but it's only, 4 inches thick. So I have straightened out the floor. This is solid hard clay, and down at the end of that line down there, you can see how far I've had to dig into the clay. And that's because water was seeping under the ground. So I'm creating a barrier with this wall to this porch to try to keep any water from ever getting into the house. So I'm going to a heck of a lot of trouble to do this. So, but anyway, and in doing so, I've turned these blocks sideways so that the holes in them are turned at the moment they're turned. I'm trying to find out where my finger is in relationship. The holes are lined up this way. And I decide, I spent a couple of days trying to figure out which way I wanted to lay them. And this is what it's looking like when I fill in between them. This is how the floor looks. I still got to finish up along that wall. I'm going to put a finish coat over this. So all of the block are sticking up a little bit at the moment. And you can kind of see. So I poured the concrete in here to hold them all together and everything. But then I'm going to come in with a finish coat. And I've got a bunch of different sizes of tile. And so I've been considering, putting a spackle coat down and then putting tile in. So, and that would make it really look sharp in here. And I've got several piles of tile, and if I used it all, I might have to buy some, but probably not too much. But anyway, so I've turned these things sideways, leveled out the ground, and then I'm pouring concrete between them. Now, about a month ago, there wasn't anything growing in here. You see all the green? And this dirt has been leveled off, dug out, redone, scraped off, wetted down. It's flooded in here a couple of times. I mean, right up to the house over there. And so, but where these plants are coming from and where all these little seedlings that are coming up in between the block, it's almost like somebody had a bag of something and dumped about in here. And I've been working in this area for 2 years now. All right. And so the fact that there are things that there wasn't anything here a month ago, okay, or less. And now there's all these little green plants coming up. So where there was nothing, it seems that given the opportunity with Mother Earth, something comes back up. There are plants out here in the yard. They only come up at certain times of the year, and this is the time. So right now here in South Georgia, and I'm guessing maybe Southern Alabama, maybe Northern Florida, this is the time when folks around here grow cabbage because it's cool, but we very rarely freeze. And if so, not for very long. Very rarely if it snows. So they plant cabbage by the millions of tons around here. I'm not joking. I was amazed at how much cabbage Colquitt County, just this one county. Now there's a couple of neighboring, but mostly Colquitt County is responsible for like an eighth of the cabbage that's consumed in the United States or something. I was like, what? Not the state of Georgia, just this county, and I was like, wow, now that's impressive. So anyway, but they grow a lot of other things around here. Too much cotton, not enough corn. There are a lot of peanuts that are grown around here, and they've been digging up peanuts and drying them here. So, for those of you out there that, can't get fresh peanuts like we can around here, it's time for boiled peanuts, y'all. But anyway, so on with the porch. But so, and what I did the other night was these blocks down here along the footer, I dug that out a little longer. I ran out of concrete, and I laid that bottom course of block. Now, folks are going to say, you didn't put it, there's no mortar between them. That's right. And because each one of these block here in the wall and down below are filled with concrete. So I put rebar in each of the block in both holes. And then tonight I'm going to stack some of these block in what I've got over here in this pile right there. And my cement's in the bags underneath there. So I pull the bag over into the tub, mix it, and then pour it right into my footer. So I've been doing that the whole length of this of the porch. So I'm moving everything down and away from the corner. But anyway, so I'm going to stack these block tonight on the inside here. So I've got four block times 2. So I'll dig out 8 of these block here and put them in, and then I'll mix enough concrete to fill the holes in the block to hold them together. And then I've got pressure treated boards that'll go on top of of this block wall, and I left about that much gap in the top of these blocks so I can put a J bolt in and then bolt the plate down to the concrete when I get to that point. So I will fill it in later on when I do the finishing touches on the top of the wall here. So And then the other thing, I got to get up for this. So I can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to hope to do the best. I hope this ain't too boring. But anyway, shows you some of my crazy ideas. But anyway, I've had all these brick for years. So what I have done all the way down, and most of this is going to get covered up, which is a shame. But I've got all these brick, and I couldn't think of. There goes another one. Doug, are you still here? I sort of know where that's at. But anyway, so along this wall here, I've taken the brick and turned them sideways. So normally you have a brick that you put this away. I'm doing it like that. So I've got one more layer to finish this course, but I want to wait until I'm getting ready to put the top of the wall on. Stay here, boy. Stay here. Good man. Good man. And then, but all of that all the way down is going to have brick. That's what this is. Like I say, I'm going to have to backfill this, so most of it won't even be seen. But I'd rather have the brick there. For me, it's sort of like having a, not necessarily a castle. Sorry for the jitters. Not necessarily a castle, but my little mini fortress here, you know. And I've got all these block, and they, you know, so they just, I could pour it full of concrete and then put block on top. And I might do some of that when I get down here. But I was thinking where this floor is, the height of the ground has come up this much. So when I first moved here, the dirt that's the level of where that dirt is in that ditch right there, which is hard to tell, but where's my finger at? But anyway, it was much lower. And over the years, because of the rain, and you say, well, what does 30 years do to the place? Well, in 30 years' time, dirt, mud, and whatever has come down this hill, and there's at least 6 to 8 inches more dirt here than there was when I moved here 35 years ago. So it's like now, as a person who, you know, as an observer of nature and of things, and also an engineer and architect and everything, and construction person, all that kind of stuff, you know, I have looked at things, you know, oddly, weirdly, whatever over the years. And also I participated in a lot of these back in the early 70s and 80s. I was one of them folks that was, you know, a mother earther, you know, and the things that in fact, I still have some of the really old original Mother Earth catalogs. And some of the stuff that, you know, all these old hippie folks came up with was actually ingenious. So it's a part of me and it's hard to get rid of. And that's why I've got stacks of wood and things around the house, because I saw something in it. Well, now I'm looking at things totally different, going, I know I had a plan for that. Don't see it, can't see it. And if I really come across whatever it was I thought about, I'll probably be able to find materials. So anyway, the things here at the house, I was interesting noise back that way where the rifle's coming from. My place here is 18 and a half acres, almost 19, not quite. And my next door neighbor, he's got about 19 or 20 acres, bordering on like 19 and a half, but his place is almost all swamp. I mean, there's only like maybe an acre of land, maybe a little more, but not much. And his house sits on the old Zion Grove Church road bed. It sits on the middle of the road has changed direction twice. When you come in the top of my driveway, that's where the road now turns. But the old original Zion Grove Church Road, I actually own a part of the road on both sides, and then it gets to my neighbor's house over here, and then the property line comes to this side of the ditch. But we kind of co-join own the old strip of the old back in the 1830s 40s kind of thing roadbed, where they hand dug stuff. Well, they in the 20s and 30s they graded it, but then somewhere in the 40s or early 50s they modified the road and changed it a second time, where my neighbor, his house, that's the only high spot he could build on. And then now where the current road is. So but it starts at the top of my driveway. You can see where the ditches are, and it's the old Zion Grove Road. But anyway, so a little bit of history with the property, and I just thought that was sort of neat in that, I could preserve for whatever, this old section of the road. There are trees growing up and everything on it, but it's just interesting to me. So, but anyway, so how y'all doing? I mean, Michelle, wow, there's 12 people. How y'all doing? Look, I'm almost always here, and I will almost always accept help. I've had so many people help me over the years, and somebody would say something like, that right over there on the house is a little crooked. Did you do that on purpose? And I was like, well, me and my drunk friends, so there are a lot of oddities to the house, but to the point where some other people, it's like, and I'm looking at this plywood that's behind me, right? I put that plywood on in the mid 80s or late 80s. So 90, 2000, 2000, it's 30, almost 30 years old, this plywood up here. And it was sort of temporary. I was going to put sheeting or something else over it and never quite got there. But to the other side of the point, though, it's like, but people say, well, it'll never last. And it's still here, Hurricanes have tornadoes have gone over the house. And I don't know if you can see it from here, but let's just see how good this camera is. Nope. Okay, where my finger is, oh, say, wait, other side. This camera's going back. On this side over here, where that red thing is, the red marker, way up the hill up there is the barn that the tornado has torn down 2 times since I've lived here. In my house, it blew out the wind, a couple of windows back the first time during Kate back in the 80s. And some of this plywood and stuff was on the house then. And I, lengthened the house and done other things, but this plywood's been on the house for at least 25, going on 30 years at least. So, what some folks say, well, that'll never work. I've never put anything on it. There's no sealant or anything. I mean, it's just plywood. So, anyway, hey, Richard, the red. 47, huh? Oh man, to be 47 again. That'd be like 20 years ago or 21 years ago. Oh my God, is it really that much? Ooh, makes me shiver and shake like my sister Kate. No, I don't have a sister Kate. But anyway, so I'm sitting out here. We haven't had any sunshine today. So my solar house has not been very solar. But the idea of having the block turned sideways on the floor, and for those of you who might have gotten here a little late, I'll show you what I've been doing to the floor. I've set the concrete block sideways, filled it with concrete, and then I'm going to top the whole thing off with a mortar mix and possibly finish it up with like I said, I might do tile over the top of it. I've seen some really interesting patterns and designs with tile. And there are a lot of times when I was back doing tile for people in their bathrooms and such, um, there were times that we could get a broken pack. And so it's interesting that as an artist or artist type person, I was shown that, the types of mosaics that you can do with broken tile. So, and I was like, I've got some good tile, but they will give you the broken tile just to get it out of their way. So you go to a local building supply store and you ask them, hey, you got any broken tile? You got any scrap pieces or something, or they want to sell it by a bundle, and there's 3 or 4 of them in a bundle that are broke, they'll give you a deal. So, but none of it might match. And the way my house is, who cares? That's there are times when I tried to make everything the same, but it's like one area of the house. The walls are done in an old crate that I got from the dump at where I worked, but it was a machine that came in from Germany, big heavy duty machine. And the wood was out of the Black Forest. And I'm like, where am I ever going to get this kind of wood from Germany? So going up my stairs, and then at the top of the stairs, that wood there on that wall is all wood from that crate. And there are certain other places in the house, and I can tell you where I got the wood from. Upstairs in the loft, there's the wood up there. It's a 1x4, and it came out of an old tobacco barn. And then I've got wood that came out of the floor of an old it was like built in late 1800s down in Thomasville. They took some 1x3.5, not quite 1x4 oak flooring up, and I've got it out in the yard, and I'm bound and determined I'm going to get that out of there and sand it down and use it in the house. But I started this project, and at the moment I'm hell bent for election to finish it. It's been hindering me too long, and I'm working on other projects with cleanup. I'm doing some gardening over here with all these brick. I've got wood stacked up here ready to go to be put on the walls that I bought too prematurely. But the good news is it's pressure treated, and there's still nothing wrong with it. And the price has gone up. So I probably saved a few bucks, but it's been sitting in the yard now for a year, and it's time for this stuff to go up. So yeah, any of y'all out there that ain't got nothing to do, hey, I'm sure we could make some kind of accommodations. Now, to most people, though, um, to some people, it would be easier to go camping than to come to my house. They go, man, I'd rather go camping. Yeah, okay, but their idea is like with a fifth wheel. But okay, but they're, you mean your water comes out of a hand dug well? Yeah, you want to open it up and drop a bucket in? What? Yeah, I can drop a bucket in there. And a lot of people say, well, now, Dave, why do you still have an open well like that? So I could drop a bucket in it. What do you mean by that? Well, there's been times when electricity's been out. Now, there's a big tank right around this corner behind me over there. And there's 1,000 gallons of water in there. But I didn't used to have that. And there are times when if the water goes out, I can drop a bucket down in my well and get out fresh water. And I can do with it what I want to. Got a pail up there and a thing. And, also, I've got a 100-gallon tank, I think it is, maybe, sitting up higher. So the amount of water that's in my tank, normally, I can drain out, with gravity. And I've rigged it up such that this 1,000 gallons here behind, I've got 2 tanks, each with 1,000 gallons. So I have rainwater at my disposal all the time. And some people, oh, you got rainwater. Well, yeah, hadn't killed me yet. I make my coffee with it. I've been feeding the animals with it. I've cooked with it, and nope, I'm not dead yet. What can I say? But I've been using well water at times at the same time too. I haven't had a chance to be able to get down there and clean the mud out like I'd really want to, because it's 22 foot down there, and it's hard to get some kind of pump to the bottom down there, especially by myself at my age. Now I ain't scared to do it, but I ain't gonna do it by myself. You know what I mean? I'm smart enough to be that smart, or old enough to have learned. There are certain things I've told people, just come sit in a chair, you know, and if something happens, I want people to know that I'm down in the well. You don't have to do anything, just but get, phones in the house. Um, but I'm not scared to crawl back down in the well. No, I just don't want to. In fact, the ladder is sitting over by the well, ready to go, kind of thing. Um, but at the moment, there's silt at the bottom of the well from where when it was dry a couple of years in a row, there was a cave in. Parts of the clay fell in. So when I run the water, it sometimes it'll run red for a minute. And I've got two filters on the system, and I still get, but the red water is nothing but clay. And so I know what it is. It's not like, and now there's all the rage to, that clay will take out, toxic minerals and things. And I'm like, okay, so it's in my water. And so if it's really heavy, I'll flush out the system and change all the filters again. But it nonetheless somehow gets through the system. So it's almost like spirit wants me to have clay in my diet. You know what I mean? But I've been around a lot of toxic stuff in my lifetime, and you know, mercury fillings and all that kind of thing. So hey, Duggar, if I wait, I got to make sure he stays close to the house. One of these days, I'm going to take my camera and take a walk down through the woods because it's really pretty down there right now this time of year. And over the last couple of years, when my attention has been in other places, I haven't spent enough time in the woods, which used to be I'd get up in the morning and grab coffee and just go down the woods. And I haven't done that in a long time. And the my reasoning is that I have just forgotten, or it's well, I don't really want to, or my back's hurting. I realize I'm my own worst enemy in that. So there are times when I have to say, and there are times when I honestly am having trouble moving. I ain't gonna lie about that. But if I will push through it and walk a little bit, not overdo it, but walk down to the edge and go sit in the edge of the woods and just be there for a few minutes. That doing the walking and stretching and being there, and the fact that I got my nappy ass up to go do it, you know what I mean? So it's helpful in a lot of ways. And Duggar has been a really good excuse for me, chasing animals through the woods. Of course, my neighbors showing up, and wanting to see about deer hunting down here. And there are a lot of big deer. Oh man, the tracks. And of course, I've gotten um, deer antler on my property over the years. I told a story about it, about one set of antlers that I found. But there are deer trails down there, and we took some corn down. Not so much as to um, people put out corn this time of year, but to see if they'll follow certain, they show up at certain places. And for those folks who don't know about deer rubbings, this time of year when the deer are in rut, there's a silky film kind of thing on the antlers of the deer, and it itches like hell. And you look at the antlers and go, how could that itch? But it does. So you can tell by the size of tree how big around the tree is as to how large the deer is and how big the antlers are. Because if it's a little small tree like this, chances are it's a smaller deer with smaller horns, and they use that small tree to get in there in between the antlers, and they scratch up and down, and they scratch the bark off. So there's there's a tree down there. It's like, oh my God, the tree is like this big around. Okay, I mean honestly, and that thing is just skint all up, and it's like, whoa! It looks like somebody took sandpaper down there and sanded the bark off the side of this tree. It's like, woo. Did you hear the owl? There are a lot of barred owls on this in the swamp back here. That's actually not an owl. There are certain times of the day. It's a it's like a whippoorwill or a cock of the woods, and they're very similar in sound, but they'll only do it early morning and this time in the afternoon. The reason I know that, we had some folks come to the Wildlife Center years ago, and they were from the National Audubon. Wait, Audubon? Bird folk. Yeah, Audubon. I'm having a moment. Michelle, help. I was thinking Audubon, and I thought, no, that's flowers. No, but anyway, the bird folks. And these guys sat there and had a tape recorder, and they just turned it on, and we sat outside like I'm doing right now. We're just really quiet. And it was amazing at how many birds and things and frogs and different clicks and sounds. And we were just sitting out on the edge of the out of the woods. Now it was you know about 3 miles from here. Um, am I right? Hey, Project Sky Falls. You heard it. Big deer like big trees, absolutely. And there's some big ones back there. I'm telling you. I mean, and to see an 8 point in my backyard is not uncommon. And down in Florida, I was talking to my daughter the other day on the phone, and they went all the way to Ohio to hunt, do all this thing. And I was like, you could have come to my house 4 times for that. But um, well, we were going to get a big deer. And I was like, you have no idea the size of the deer around here. They're a lot bigger than in Florida deer. That's why my friends used to come up from Florida every year about this time and go hunting, because the deer are almost twice the size as the deer down around Brooksville down in Florida. And, I grew up down there around Silver Lake and I can't think of the name of the wildlife area, Grooms Lake. I mean, we were camping there as Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts before they put the interstate over the lake. That's how old I am. When they were putting in the overpass over Silver Lake there at Grooms, um, we would go down in the canoes, and back in the day, we'd take cardboard and slide down the slopes of the interstate when they were building them. And, it were like ski slopes to us, man. We learned how to do tricks and all kinds of stuff on cardboard on the side of an interstate. I remember that as a kid. There were certain places on 75, because most Total Redeemer, the Catholic grade school I went to, on the back side of the property was the interstate. I mean, it was right. Well, they sold the school and the property, I heard, but um, it was right there. So, we could get out of school and just on the way home, we had to go by it, under it, or whatever. And, we'd all grab our cardboard and slide a few times and then come on to the house. And Mom always knew when we'd been sliding, because we had grass stains on our pants and shirts and stuff. So, but anyway, I remember there were times when we just absolutely had a ball. And then there were the rowdy kids that would go up on the interstate when they were making it, and push over the porta johns. And I just wasn't into that. It was, and I was, it was too much trouble, and then you could get into trouble, and I'd rather just slide on the cardboard. Although we got into one or two times, come on. Well, now I think to myself, really shouldn't have done that, but there was nobody inside. Nobody was hurt, but we tumped over 3 or 4 porta johns in a row. And I'm thinking now, having worked sort of in that kind of an area, I'm like, that was just really mean. There was really no sense in it. Hey, let's push this over. Ha ha ha. But anyway, we were kids. I mean, like 12. But, um, it's interesting as I sit outside here and drink a little bit of coffee. So y'all have your coffee. As the sun's going down, I'm noticing that a lot of the trees have lost their leaves. And interestingly enough, some of the trees around here that still have leaves on them are the cherry trees. And let's see. This is the wrong focal length with this camera. Anyway, there by the well, actually on this side, is a cherry tree with sort of yellowing leaves at the top. Well, I can look out across the yard over here beyond the truck, and there's an oak tree, but beside it is a cherry tree, and way back in the distance back there is a cherry tree, because you can tell by those leaves. So it's interesting that at certain times of the year you can sit here, and if you know what you're looking at, you can go, oh, there's a cherry tree. I'll have to go check that out. Now, cherry trees, for me, I've used them for carving puppets and different things. It's an excellent work for carving and doing that type of thing. But people say, oh, but it's great for a fire. And, no, it's horrible for a fire. It's too light, it burns too quick, doesn't leave any ash. And if you cook something over it, it's got this, oh, it's cherry wood. No, I'm sorry. I'd rather have hickory, or around here, we have pecan wood, or as normal people say it, pecan wood. A pecan is what you keep under the bed in the old days. Or for us old people, pecan, that's what a pecan is. But anyway, um, Travis the Brick, how you doing? Lady Spitfire, how you doing? Peer pressure, absolutely. Yeah, Lady Spitfire, us Southern Georgia, these folks down here, I was sitting and I tried not to laugh. I did. And if I'd have laughed, Mandy she would have understood. But she was like, yeah, we've been picking up pecans all over the place. And I was like, that many people just throw out their pecans? And she looked at me and she went, huh? And I went, oh, never mind. I was thinking of something else. But, I was inside, I was giggling my ass off going, but pecans. Yeah, right. So, but you can tell the elite around here, because they always make it an issue. It's pecan, dear. Pecan. It's pronounced pecan. Well, okay. They won't say pecan. they they won't lower themselves to say it. They'll say, it's my word, dear. It doesn't. It's pecan. Well, yeah, but it sounds like pecan. No, it's pecan. They won't say it. It's funnier now. I love some of the people down here and some of these old traditions. It's like some people would get annoyed at it, I guess, and I consider it like, hey, some of these little old gray-haired ladies down here, they they are seriously holding a tradition. They hold these little teas in the afternoons, or on a Sunday afternoon or something, or a brunch right after church. And and it's not fakery. That's the interesting part about it, because I've known some of these people, and many of them are now deceased, because I'm getting old myself. But they would go there because it would, they would have their gloves and their lace, and it was a time for them to be genteel. And it was a time when all the ladies could get together and they could be genteel together. And to some of those of those folks, when I say genteel, I thought, it's that old Southern sit on the porch with your tea. And it doesn't necessarily mean uppity now. That's not what I mean. Because they, of course, they would say, did you see Ethel at church today? Oh, Lord have mercy, her, bless her heart. That's the favorite one, right? Bless her heart. That hat just didn't match that dress. Oh, and oh, bless her heart. Did you see those shoes? She must. Bless her heart. I know they've been having trouble. Bless her heart. I hope she didn't get that from Goodwill store. Bless her heart. She's been to the Five and Dime again to get her jewelry. Yeah, unfortunately, but they do it in this kindest way, holding their tea, not necessarily crumpets, but some of these families have been down. There's like one of the plantations was owned by the folks who were owners of the Gulf Oil Company. There's folks down here, the Standard Oil Company. Jimmy Buffett has property in South Georgia. He used to go to a local restaurant all the time, him and his daughter, when he wasn't down in Florida, because anyway, they bought into a plantation up here in South Georgia, in Thomas County, toward, like almost on the line with the Florida line. And there is something different. You cross a line, you actually into red clay, and they call it the Red Hills around here. And they have there's a large plantations. I mean, thousands of acres. I mean, for example, around me, to the south of me and the southwest, where the river runs, on one side, my next door, not my this closest neighbor, but the next one over, is like a 500-acre plot of land, and then beyond that is another uh, 700 or 800 acre plot of land. Now there are houses along that road, but they only go about an acre or so deep. And then all these plantations own all the way down to the river. There's pine trees and hunting rights and signs, and so you go 2 miles down the road, and then there's another plantation that's on both sides, and it's like a 2,000-acre plantation that goes another 2 miles to the paved road, and then another plantation picks up. Duggar, good. You back okay? So all the property around here, they're owned by corporations. There's one place over here where they're cutting trees from, up on the hill, that a couple of Germans came over and bought up the property for the investment of the pine trees. And they've had it for about 10 years. And the reason I know this is because my next door neighbor was renting the hunting rights off of that property from them. So, but recently this season, the gunshots that I heard today were the first gunshots I've heard in a couple of days. And usually over the weekend, it's like bang, pow, pow. But across the river behind me, which isn't that far, but there's a valley of sorts, and there's clay hills on both sides of where the river is. But on the other side of the river are 300 and 400 acre pieces of property, and then further down from that is like 1,000 acre piece, and then across the road and down further it goes into another plantation. So and they're not necessarily farms. There is some farmable land, but behind my house you can't do anything but grow. You could grow rice maybe, but the best thing you can grow is trees. Honestly, that's the best thing you can grow. So my next door neighbor and other folks around, because it's too wet sometimes of the year to plow up and plant. And so everybody's looking for that higher, that I'm there's too much bottom in the bottomland around here because it floods. Now, when it doesn't flood, but also behind the house, there's too much sand. Over the literally millions of years of where my river is in the backyard, um, it has taken the sand off the top of the clay, and they literally mine sand around here. So also we have behind the house and at the bottom of my well, there's a strip of clay called Fuller's Earth. There's another name for it at the moment, but a Clockney, which is just south of Meigs. If you're from around here, it's Meigs. And it's oil dry. They make kitty litter and oil dry. And I mean, there are huge mines where they dig this sort of pipe. They call it pipe clay also. But now up north, they have a pipe clay, but it's more reddish. No, this is almost white, a little grayish. And they mine it out of the ground near here, like 10 miles, which is close. At night during the winter time, you can hear the machines run from there because they run this plant all the time. They're great big heaters and things. And they basically take the dirt, crumble it up, and dry it really good. And then that makes it, it retains its absorbency. I mean, most of you, kitty litter, okay, they make it over there. I mean, basically. But oil dry is what, all the folks, farmers use under their tractors when they spill something, or, And I've told people for years, why buy kitty litter, for $5 for this little bag when you can pay $5 for a 25-pound bag of oil dry. Put a little fragrance in it and toss it in a pan. Oh, but my cat likes this smelly stuff. Okay, all right. But anyway, so sitting, howdy dang, it's almost been an hour. I was just here, had nothing in particular to yak about. Was looking at the footer and thinking I just wanted to make a video sort of for myself, in that, somebody says, well, what did you put anything in your walls? Yeah, there's rebar right there. There's a video I did about it on YouTube. Oh, and I filled the block full of concrete. Oh, and I used a strengthener. Oh, so but let me sort of wrap up why I turned these concrete blocks sideways. I have solid floor in the house. It's solid concrete. But over the years, I didn't tamp the dirt down as much as I probably should have back in the day. So there are certain places in my floor in there, although it's like, 3.5 inches of concrete, it's hollow underneath somehow, which is interesting. But it doesn't feel solid, and you can tap your foot, and tell that, so somehow the floor has come away from has settled below where the concrete used to sit. Interesting. But anyway, but in a way, though, that's a good thing, because one of the best things as an insulator is dead air space. So when I used to do calculations for homes on which type was the best insulation, how many inches, densities, everything's got an R value. Okay. So, but if you can't fill the space, then make it a vacuum, so that it's really hard to get in and it's really hard to get out. So the distance of air. So by having solid concrete, I'm like, but sometimes it will pick up the coolness from the ground, right? So there's a lot of ground, a lot of thermal mass, right? That's one reason why I'm using those brick on the outside of the house, even though I should probably save them for something else, because it's thermal mass. And my nightlight just came on. But in that, though, that thermal mass that's all together, the heat will transfer through it quicker. But if there's concrete on both sides and it comes to the air, then the air has to reach a certain temperature before it'll pass through into the concrete below it or above it, depending on which way it's going. So, it's an interesting point of view, in that I'll finish up this conversation. Let me turn on the light behind me. I'll sit with y'all for another minute or two. And yeah, the sky's been gray all day. Not necessarily a dreary day, but it's only been like 64 degrees down here in South Georgia, which is kind of chilly for us. Not too bad. I gotta wait for Duggar to get back here. Got to turn the computer and everything around for a minute anyway. I know my face ain't that pretty, but talking to a figure in the dark is like, well, that's a little creepy. But anyway, so my idea with of course, the filled concrete block is to have the thermal mass, and also water will have a hard time going through, 4.5 inches of concrete to try to flood the floor in here, which has happened over the years a couple of times now. It's amazing how much rain will come down, and because there's red clay right underneath me, not sand, the red clay, it doesn't drain. It rained one time down there in the ditch, and water stayed in the ditch for 2 days. I mean, the same depth, you know. And it was just a heavy thunderstorm, not anything big, right? But but at the same time, once clay gets saturated, it will find ways to squeeze out. Hi, Travis. How are you? Lady Spitfire, they're blasting land here within miles of the fault line, clearing away for a second aluminum smelting plant. Idiots. Here's your sign. Yeah, because you know what? They've already got an aluminum plant in Tifton, Georgia that they shut down. And for whatever reason, they don't. There are smelting plants already. Here there's one is at least one in South Georgia that has been empty. I used to go by it every day, back and forth to work. And but anyway, yep, big smelting plant right beside a railroad track and everything. Used to have great big huge billets of aluminum come in all the time. Used to have to sit and watch the train come in because it would block your way to get to the plant. But anyway, so but in this idea with this concrete, so my thinking, and I'm as I was putting this together, I'm going, how in the hell am I going to test this? And I'm thinking, this is my theory, that once I get the concrete in here and I have a really good sunny day, all windows along this side over here, that at night when it has a tendency to lose its the heat from the thermal mass, that where the block are should be slightly warmer than the solid concrete on either side of it, in theory. So each block will be like a tiny little mini heater in a way, because the heat won't be able to transfer through the dead airspace that's surrounded by all the concrete, you see. So that's my theory. And but I'm really I'm really interested to see, if my theory is even close to, being true. But they have used this type of system in other floors, and where they use stressed concrete, and instead of having they put gaps in the concrete, and so to help with the weight, right? But at the same time, they've learned that it's also, because it's sealed, it's also that it becomes that dead air space, and in that it's hard for the heat to transfer. So we'll see. But I would really, for myself, I want to get this damn floor done by New Year's. I mean, that's my own personal little thing, and I know I'm gonna have to get my nappy ass up, and regardless of how bad my back hurts, and pour this concrete, because once I get the concrete done, it's really simple to frame it and nail it together. All the windows that I have are aluminum frame. They're going to go into once I build the house, they're just going to go right in with a couple of screws and some, insulation, and pop, pop, pop. And there's going to be a house here, or, a room. Oh, by the way, let's see how it shows up. Sorry about the noise. Can you see that right there? There's the light. And then right there, it's got a board holding it down with leaves on it. That's because of the last couple of days. And then right next to it, I got to turn the camera the right way. There's another one. Those are glass shower doors that people throw away. Okay. And they've got that tint on them, right? Now, there are different kinds of shower doors, but so I laid those up there a couple of years ago. I know, shame on me. But it's gotten to the point where the only thing that's holding those things down is their own weight and that 2x4 that's laying up there. And so it's been through storms. It went through the hurricane that came through, when the tornado came over the house and tore everything up again, and all the high winds and stuff. And those two pieces of glass are still there. Shamefully, I have to say, oh my God, I should have. But at the same time, I'm like, well, they're not hurting anything. Let's see how long they will last up there. And, shamefully, it's like, I really want them to come down. But here's the thing. My roof along this wall here on the eastern wall, looking uphill, I'm going to have two of those on this side of the wall as my ceiling. And then up towards the house is going to be a short row of 10. Now, people say, well, why don't you just go ahead and put the glass up there and just do the whole ceiling in glass? And my reason for that is because if I need to work on the outside of the house, I won't be able to stand on any part of the roof. And so if I leave myself, it's going to be about 30 inches of tin, roughly, um, and the width of the glass. But I want a place to be able to stand if I need to work on a window on the outside of the house or something like that. Or so. And the other side of the coin is then that will give me two extra seams that I may not be able to seal, and my chances of leakage are going to be really good. So, but if I just use one row, and they're like 5 foot tall, I mean, yeah, 5 foot tall by 32 or 34 inches wide. They're the widest ones that I've got. I've got several of these. In fact, in the south side of my house, I've got two of these shower doors that have been in my house for 30 years, and people say, "Well, what?" The only bad part about it is that you can't really see through it. So the sunlight comes in, and there's warmth in there, but there's not quite as much solar energy that you could get out of that same size window. But the other side of the coin is that if somebody's come up to the house, um, most of my windows are clear, but it has been interesting at times where you didn't hear somebody come down the driveway or something and they sneak up on you, and I'm sitting in my underwear kind of thing, and I got all my whole south side of the house is windows. So if I'm naked coming out of the shower and they're knocking on the door, there you go. But so it has come in handy that those shower doors that are only a few times over the years, but um it does keep anybody from coming down the driveway from actually seeing right into the house too. And they can't see, it's backlit. So there's light there, but they can't see into the house. So uh, I got enough windows they can look at me, is how I look at it. But anyway, so this porch, for a bunch of reasons, I want to, in the background over here, where you might be able to see it sort of now. Yeah. This window back here, that's part of the bay window in the house. It was too small. It didn't work, and it leaked in both of these corners. Well, this corner down here and the far corner on the other side, where the water literally came up from the ground through the concrete and through a crack or two, and would flood my kitchen I mean, an inch of water in my kitchen, to where it would flow from this side of the house this way and out the door over here. So over here in this corner, I've been busting out that concrete block wall right there. Wait a minute. Let me get my hand going the right way. That way. Right. And so that's coming out, and the window's coming out, and then this will become one large room going into my kitchen, which will probably, actually, it won't be my kitchen. It'll probably end up being my living room if I make the changes. But if not, it's still gonna. So all of this early morning eastern sun in the wintertime, where I'm facing out now, I'm going to get the morning sun to come in, all the sunlight, all the way till about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be right here on this little room. It'll be on the rest of the house too, but with all this glass right here on this end of the house in the wintertime, it's going to be fun to sit out here and, like I'm doing now with all this glass. And in the summertime, they lift up and down, so there'll be a screen in it, so it turns into a screened-in porch as well. And so I can sit here and look at. Well, that's a mess over there, but I might even have to paint the I might even have to paint the well. If I'm going to sit here and look at it all the time, I'm like, I don't sit here and look at the well all the time. But if I had to sit here and look at it, I'd probably at least paint it or something. Shame on me. But anyway, it was all temporary, and it's been here for 30 years. But I am a jack of all trades, and I've been able to put up with stuff. Hey, enlightened one. This is better than Tim the Tool Man, seeing a shaman be so handy. Med beds, come and heal everything, and age regress for up to 30 years. I'm waiting on that shit now. I'm here to tell you. I've had promises of my own, and they say, well, hang on, Dave. My fingers are hurting. My fingertips hurt from hanging on. But don't tell me no lies. Don't tell me anything rather than tell me something that might not happen. That's why I'm so adamant about this thing about the 21st. I know some people are putting a lot of stock in. We're going to do a show. I'm going to be invited with the Andromeda Sisters Group 7 thing. I'm sorry, Teresa, I can't remember. But the ladies know all about this. And I'm very proud to, be a part of it. And we had a discussion last night, and to my and other people agree with this too. To my point of contention, not about us, but in what other people are saying about this, the 21st, and we're all going to be moving in. And listen, it's going to be another day. It is a special day because the planets are lining up. But honestly, is it any more special than any other day? And the answer could be, well, it depends. Well, as much as I've studied over my age time and my connection to Earth, I understand enough to say I'm going to put my brain and my head and my feelings and my heart in the right place to get I'm going to put my antenna up. Okay. So for that day, then and the day before, I'm actually kind of getting ready for it now. But in that, a shaman if there's going to be what? Hang on, let me start this over. All right, let me get something to drink because y'all are hanging out, and it's a good point to make, and y'all can start yourselves too. If to me, the shamans and folks that I've met, and I know there are shamans from different tribes and different places and things. Sorry about moving it around. But in that, for me, before I knew about the shaman part, if I was going to do something on a full moon as a full moon ceremony, I knew that I 2 or 3 days ahead of time, I would plan on stuff. Well, make sure I got my crystals together, or I'll make sure that my special, my sacred blanket is clean or whatever. And I'm going to make sure I got a candle. There's certain things. So you start preparing mentally in your head, right? And so that by the time you get there, I've had some of the shamans that I've talked to, and I understand what they mean. Um, in that they would fast sometimes a day or two before they would do a ceremony because they really wanted to be cleaned out, and by fasting and or very minimal things to eat, just enough to keep your stomach from growling, but and for me it's like I can't really truly have nothing to eat, but it's very minimal on probably too many days. But anyway, um, you also realize that without any extra stuff, you're drawing the energy from around you. You're breathing in the energy, and you're concentrating. You're not worried about eating, right? So you're not worried about anything. So, but in that though, you are learning. You're teaching your body to accept the energy that's around you. That's the only way I made it those 3 days on the river with nothing to eat and very little liquids. It's the only way I made it those 3 days. It was almost 4, but those 3 full days of not having adequate stuff in 102-degree weather. How else do you get through something like that? It's because I have had faith in those types of things, and they had to prove it to me. That listen, you made it. I'm on the other side. Now, not everybody has those types of experiences, and in my life, I guess, as a shaman in training, it I had to learn that. I had to really get that we can survive on nothing. Maybe not for long periods, but at least short drafty times, right? So, but anyway, so before a ceremony, you will think about things and you'll learn. But anyway, so with this ceremony coming up, I'm considering part of the day a ceremony for myself for the universe by doing a short drum session. Um, so I'm preparing for it mentally now. So, but here's the thing: some people are trying to hype up that we're all going to transcend, we're all going to do this stuff, we're all going to, the rapture is coming again. The prophecy, oh my God, Planet X and Nibiru is back in the news again. Oh my God, I thought it was done. So here we are with all this prophecy stuff, all these people. Now, I absolutely feel that there's a change coming on. Absolutely. Everybody's feeling it. But is it going to be, I don't want to over expect, because it's like, hey, Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Anyway, um, the idea though that, but what if Santa doesn't come to your house? You're Jewish. Santa doesn't come to Jewish homes. You should know that. Light your menorah and stay away from the pork. You know. So with that said, and I have many Jewish friends. I love them to death. And I appreciate their culture. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but I appreciate it. Okay. So, and a lot of tradition, and it's when you understand where some of these traditions come from, it's like, well, okay. And that we should suffer, yeah, the Catholic Church is all about suffering too. But anyway, so but in this idea though, I think that we should go into these next few days and be positive. So it's not necessarily one big wham bam thank you universe. We're going to do this on one day only. I'm working into this for a 5 day period, 3 days before and a couple of days after. Because if you think them planets, now there is going to be a high point, that total eclipse, if you will, of when the two planets are lined up. But they're still going to be really close for several days, a week or so before and after. So we're coming into this. So the alignment, it's sort of like just before we have the eclipse with the sun, which just happened, or the moon, gets in front of the sun. So the idea, though, that these events are going on at the same time is a special time in the universe. But let's not oversell it. But let's use it to our advantage, okay? So the advantage is simple. We stay positive, and regardless of the energy coming in, there was an old Indian that told me, he goes, we were looked up at the sky, and this was years ago when they were spraying with the skies, which has been fairly clear recently. um that he said, I look at those clouds and you think, chemtrails. I look at those clouds and say, creator, make those clouds be helpful to Mother Earth. So his prayer is, by the time whatever it is in those clouds reaches the ground, that it's safe. you know what, that it's a benefit. What? So he taught me a great lesson in that day, and that bitching about it didn't do a damn thing but kind of add to everybody else's sorrow. But if I saw the chemtrails and I went, my prayer is going to go with all them other Indian crazy folk who are looking at those clouds and going, creator, you change them clouds into something good before they hit the earth. Wow. I was like, I felt helpless before. So I cursed the sky with hand closed. And how can you receive anything from the universe when your hand is in a fist, right? So this whole idea of Umpty Scrunch and Doodle Think, you know, um, I had to change positions here. That Umpty Scrunch and Doodle Think, I should have moved over. That's okay. There's enough light on me. Y'all know I'm in here. Um, let's see if anything weird flies by the back of my head. But anyway, so jets are flying over. Can't see them for the clouds. So how we look at things, we can look at them as terrible things, and you know, but if we change our prayers to one of depression and one of stress and hopelessness, and I can't do a thing about those damn chemtrails. And he said, but you can. He said, in your mind, you change those chemtrails. You ask Creator every time you see one, to ask Creator and put your faith in that by the time they hit the ground, there's enough of us when we pray and when we send our energies out that we can actually change the composition of them. And this is old Indian man, just you wouldn't think that he had 10 cents worth of smarts. I mean, as far as being able to talk about physics or something like that. But here he was intelligent, and we have the capability of changing what falls from the sky. And if we connect with Great Spirit, and I was like, from that day forward, I did not feel helpless. I lost that point of I don't feel helpless now because I'm going to look at those clouds and I'm going to put my energy into changing them. Now, has it happened? Well, here's what has happened. There are a lot fewer chemtrails in the sky. So did all of us bitching about it? Well, what about how many of us have been praying about getting rid of them? Did that actually work? Because they're just not around like they were, 6 months ago or so. That just wasn't there, Now, but to that point, um, I'm not everywhere, but around down here in South Georgia, northern Florida, we had a pretty good bunch of them. And in the evening times, they'd be spraying, and I'd be cussing and making a fist. I don't do that anymore. But anyway, so my friends, I'm going to round up my dog, and I'm out here without a plug-in, and the battery only lasts about an hour or so. So, and it's been how much time? Oh my gosh, almost an hour and a half. Crap. I love you all. I do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm sitting out here on my unfinished porch, dreaming about tomorrow. And actually, I'm going to go put the computer up and come back outside and stack some brick and put some cement in these blocks because I want this wall done so I can put the glass in, so I can put this, I got all this stuff right here to finish this thing up, but it's the concrete that's slowing me down. But anyway, so I've had people that were supposed to be hired to come help me. They didn't show up, so I'm not bitching about anybody but myself. But getting old has sure slowed me down. I used to be able to do a project like this in a couple of days, and I'm still at this after almost, 2 years or more, But I've had a lot of roots that I had to dig out. I've had a lot of roots. Oh my God. I chop, chop, chop. And this hard ass clay is not easy to dig in. Plus, I had a lot of the old footer that I had to bust out of here. So there's been a lot of demolition and preparation. But at the same time, I'm getting old, and these bags of concrete, it says 60 pounds, but son of a bitch, it's like, it feels like 100. I used to be able to tote an 80-pound bag with, fair amount of ease. Now I say, get the other end. Get the other end of that bag for me, will you? That only makes it 40 pounds instead of 80. You carry the heavy side, but come on. But anyway, so here is my craziness. And Duggar, where you at? Call my dog back. But I've got solar lights like that in the yard. And let me just tell you about that while I'm waiting on the dog and saying bye to y'all until a later time. But for the 21st, I think we use it to our advantage. But let's remember, don't overhype it and don't get caught up in it. in the overhype. Because then, if something tremendous doesn't happen, none of our feelings will be hurt. It's like expecting Santa Claus to come, and what shows up is this old beggar man, going, "Hey, you got any extra food?" But that's Santa Claus right there. But anyway, hey, Santa, howdy ho, neighbor. Mr. Hanky and Christmas Pooh. Think about that one for a minute. Duggar. Well, they can't be shooting at this time of night, so I'm not worried about that. But he's been bringing home ticks here lately, and I have to scrub him down and check him out. Had one crawling on me the other day. Of course, we'd both been in the woods, but anyway, the battery's fixing to die here. But with this thing for the 21st, let's all get together. And I think the important thing for the 20th and the 21st is that we, in whatever way is comfortable for us, that we connect. We just say, I'm thinking of my friends that are on my, or subscribers on my channel. I think of the friends that are subscribers to Milky Way. I think of all my other friends that may not, maybe on Facebook only, or so my family. So I'm thinking of these people on this day in a positive way. And I'm going to try to stay as focused on the positive side. So, for example, I'm not going to go reading the newspaper and look at all whatever is going on in the world before I go into the celebration, the ceremony, into it. No, I'm going to, so for the day of, or maybe even before, I'm not even going to look at the news. I'm going to stay away from it until after the event, that we're together on with the Andromeda ladies. And with that said, so that my energy will be as positive as possible. Because I can always catch up after it and go, holy crap, look what they did on Friday. You know what I'm saying? So that's the sort of preparation we can do. Don't do something right before you want to meditate that's going to get you upset, for God's sakes. Well, let me catch up on the news. Maybe not. Go meditate first and then catch up on the news. You'll feel much better when you meditate. So, there are things that we can do. So anyway, there will be, and I'm not sure what time, Teresa and folks will let us know what time, and it'll be on the Andromeda 7 channel, but I'm thinking of doing at least a 30-minute, maybe an hour, where, because we've done this before, we got together and did a meditation before, and I'm thinking, why not? So at some point between the 20th and 21st, if y'all want to, we'll just hang out, nothing really special, except that we are going to bring each other together for a few minutes of meditation, 5 minutes, and we're going to send good energy out to the universe. But we're going to be doing it on the 20th. I'm already started. So we can all prepare for these things right now and turn it into a good event for us. Now, what will we get out of it? We'll just have to see on the other end. You know what I mean? It's just that easy, And if nothing tremendous happens on that day, for me, I think it's more of a turning of a page. I don't think that day is going to be so special per se. But because of the event, it's going to be like turning a page, and it's going to be the first day of winter, and it's going to be this and that. But in that thought, though, the winter time is the time that we come together inside and we sit around the fires and we tell stories and we bake bread. And, some people call them the holidays. But in the old days, when snow was up to the windows, you didn't go outside. You did go inside. and you talked and you reconnected with people. And when the weather was okay, you went and stomped over to another cabin, and you had, camaraderie or whatever. But you weren't out plowing, you weren't out doing all these other things because it was too damn cold and there was too much snow on the ground. So now down in the South, not quite the same, but in that it's also a time for us to be together inside with us. So let's build our fires and gather around. You know what I mean? Let's gather around the wood stove and make some. Put a pot of hot chocolate on and some coffee or tea, whatever, and sit around the fire and tell stories and stay warm and plan for the spring, because this is a time when farmers are sitting around going, well, hey, Duggar, you come back. Oh, good boy. Good, 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 good. This is the time when farmers are sitting around going, well, Edna, what we going to do for the spring? Well, our corn didn't make so good, but we're going to need so many pounds and, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so it's not a time for retreating, but as the bears hibernate, and a lot of other little critters too will hibernate and curl up and snuggle up, we should look at that time as a resting time, not a time to be depressed. Oh, it's cold outside, can't do anything. Put your mucklucks on and go on. But mucklucks, I've always loved that word. Never had a chance to really wear mucklucks, but I love it. But put your mucklucks on and here, stay here, stay here, stay here. Yeah, you stay here with everybody. Yeah, Duggar, come back. Come on, stay with me. Say hi to everybody. Say woof woof. Hi, Duggar. Yeah, you stay here, okay? Don't run off. You stay here, okay? All right, we'll go in the house in a minute, okay? Yep, I know. Okay. So, but anyway, I think that the positive side of this whole business of the 21st and everything is the fact that regardless of what anybody else says about the date, regardless of what anybody else says about the conjunction and all this other stuff, we're going to make it a special day because we want to. But I also think some folks are talking about portals and stuff. In my opinion, Spider Woman gave me this message in that everything is connected in the universe with these thin strands that are the Spider Woman in the universe takes care of things, right? We're all connected with these thin webs, you know, in your astral body, you're connected with some say it's a silver cord or whatever. Anyway, you're still attached. So, and in the world, if you really, I've talked about the spiders before, everywhere you look, there are spiders. They're all over the place. And, but so the pictures that NASA and some of these telescopes have showed us is there are these magnetic connections, these magnetic lines and so forth. So whether you believe in the Spider Woman thing or not, we are connected with these strands in the universe. They've proven this with pictures and so forth. And it's amazing. And I think to myself, now that's one good thing science is good for, to prove some of these legends when the native folks talk about Spider Woman and how all things in the universe are connected. And you go, well, that's just bullshit. Well, maybe not. Maybe there is an entity that is by the great and not a nasty, but she's the caretaker of the universe. Anyway, won't go into the Spider Woman thing. But so in my vision of this, it's these threads coming together. They're not intersecting because Jupiter's a little higher and Saturn's a little lower, or vice versa in the sky. But there'll be like one line. You can't see my fingers. It'll be like one line on top of another. So they're only going to be truly parallel, the magnetic lines, for a moment, but they're getting close and then it passes. So with these lines of energy versus a portal, which to me is like, I don't really see the doorway thing in what the information they give me. I know people visualize things in different ways, but I do not see a portal. But I do absolutely see these magnetic lines being parallel to one another and passing, underneath the next one, kind of thing. So, or over the top, you get the idea. So, with that said, when as the lines are stringing together, I look at it more as like strings on a guitar, okay, or a ukulele or something. So when these two lines get together, um, they will be harmonious in the tune that they make, like guitar strings when they're side by side, and they're, so to me, the what they have showed me is this picture is it's more like that. So not necessarily a portal. So I would like to make sweet music during this time. So our energies are more like a musical note versus a um a portal door opening, like that, knocking on a door, knock knock knocking on heaven's door. Anyway, um but the I like the string thing, the magnetic lines as the explanation for me to be more clearer than a portal. But anyway, so with that said, though, when those vibrations are in tune, should it be time for us to be there to pluck the strings? You follow me? So while they're in tune, and it won't be a long time, so that we, put our fingers on the fretboard of whatever instrument you choose. It could be a violin, it could be a cello. It's not a horned instrument. It's not a wind instrument. So it is a stringed instrument in that context. So why not play a happy song? Why not sing a happy tune while the alignment is there? And send that into the universe, where I'm sure there are folks out there who are going to be trying to, make it out of tune. But I think the song in the universe is bigger than the evil that's trying to control it. Did you hear what I'm saying? Let me repeat that. The energy of the universe is stronger than the evil that's trying to control whatever harmonious things going on in the earth. There are bigger things in the universe than these evil entities that are trying to, play smack with us. And so they have to deal with creator, and they have to deal with mother nature in the universe. And if you think mother nature is bad on the planet, don't piss off mother nature in the universe. You might piss off that big old spider that's tending the all of these nests and things and planets and so forth. So with that said, um it's so much fun hanging out with you guys. I hope this has been a little beneficial at some point, or y'all wouldn't still be here. Richard, I could tap into that no problem. Um, I saw a gigantic perfect smoke ring once in the sky. Was bummed all day because I missed the portal till I found out it was an air show about 30 miles away. Yeah, there are weird things in the sky that, and I've talked about this before, but when things hit you, I always have to say, I see that now. I saw something earlier yesterday, and I looked over there, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And it looked like something, and my mind went into some weird picture of something, and then I realized it was my perception of it, and it was my perspective. So I moved one foot to the right, and it looked totally different. And it was only from that one view that this thing over there on the rack looked really weird. So it is really truly from our perspective. And sometimes we just need to take a little step to the right or a little step to the left, and we might be on a different path. I mean, parallel, but so anyway, you can avoid stepping in a hole real easy, without getting off of the road. You know what I mean? So I was watching something earlier, and it was like, do you have to hit every damn pothole in this road? And they were just bouncing around in this truck like this, and I was like, that's how people come down my driveway. Your driveway's so rough. Well, you're trying to drive it at 20 miles an hour, duh. It's called go slow. It's there for a purpose. It's a little bumpy because the rain washes the driveway out every time we have a gully washer. But, and, you know, I put hundreds of pounds of concrete and stuff on the driveway to keep it from washing out. And a good rain will, you know, wash it all away, literally. So, um, anyway, my little construction site here. I'm glad you all showed up and hanging out. Or dog poo. Yep. The resonance versus dissonance. That's true. The string theory. Yes, Ian, absolutely. Is quantum guesswork. Birkeland currents are galactic in size. Absolutely. And you know, hey Ed, how you doing? Ian, you know, listening to the electric universe thing. Now I took astronomy in college back in 1971. Okay. And then I had a bad accident and ended up coming up here to Georgia in 72. But in 71, you know, I was taking astronomy, I was interested in it. And as a boy and a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout, you know, stargazing and all that when you're camping, you know, and you could actually see the stars back then. But so my interest has always been there. When I was a child looking out the window when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, I would wake up in the middle of the night and find myself looking out the window and seeing the constellation of Pleiades. And I'm you know, later on I thought to myself, how many times did I used to wake up and I'm a little kid, don't even know what it is, but I'm staring at that constellation out the window of my bedroom from in Tampa. So, but anyway, so my interest in that, but there are a lot of things over the years that the science has talked about that just never made sense to me. I mean, I still don't believe in these stupid ass pyramid theories, but you know, that's another story. But the Birkeland currents and everything electrical and magnetical in that response too, because there is magnetism in with the electrical. But to the point though, that makes a lot more sense, even with legends and other stuff. So Walt Thornhill and them folks, I think, are on the right track. And when the aliens really do show up down here and tell the rest of us, we're going to understand another level of physics that maybe Tesla knew. He knew, I think Tesla knew the edges of the new technology, where some of these alien craft and so forth, they're above and beyond that. But Tesla was showing people there's a different way of looking at this. There's energy in the air all around us. So from a shaman's point of view, there is energy all around us in the air that we breathe. If we can believe and understand it and learn how to use it for our own good. So, you know, and it's all quantum. That's why I keep trying to tell folks in that you are swimming in the universe right now. We're doing, some of us are doing the breaststroke, some of us are doing the side stroke, some of us are in inner tubes, and some of us are drowning. Okay. But when you find out that this universe that is literally all around us and connected, that you're never alone, you can always say, well, no matter what happens, I've got the energy of the universe to help me. And you go, well, what? Yes, I have the energy of the universe to help me. Now, at the moment, I don't really need any when I get done doing this video because the battery's going to die here in a minute. Um, I'm going to ask for help to pour this concrete for the next hour or so because it's going to take, you know, all night long for it to set. And then maybe tomorrow I can, you know, mix up some mortar and do the brick on the outside and finish up that side of the wall for a good ways, right? Get this thing done. Pour some concrete in here. I got another row of block that needs to be, you know, cemented in. So, but I couldn't do it until I got the wall done. But anyway, everything is connected. And the more we can understand that the old shamans of the old days, they just knew it instinctively. So we have to relearn it. But the energies all around us. Buddha talked about it. Even Christ talked about it. So it's not something new. It's something ancient. It hasn't left us. It's altered itself since the time of Buddha or Christ or whatever, but it is all the universe is always in flux. But being in flux doesn't mean that it disappears. It just means that it's fluctuating, right? It's a pulse. It's a magnetic, it's harmony of the universe. So for the 20th and 21st, the ladies are getting together on the 20th. And depending on what things go, I've kind of sort of spoke it. So, but on the 21st, it might be we all just get together for a few minutes for a 10-minute, uh, like I did before. Started out the top of the hour, tried to get everybody in the mood, how to relax, take tension out of yourself, how to sit quietly, and then we spent about 10 minutes in the meditation, and then and that's that. So that's sort of what I'm kind of thinking, because any more than 10 minutes in the meditation is really too long for this kind of thing, because it's not necessarily that you're smacking the universe in the nose. That would be a 2-minute meditation. So 5 to 10 minutes, we're giving a really nice, serious pulse into the universe. And that's how I'm going to consider it. So if you want to participate, kind of plan on the 21st for, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 possibly. So, and we'll make it, not a long, we can hang out afterwards or whatever. But for the beginning of this, it'll be, for me, it'll be very serious. And I might use the drum or flute or both. We'll see. But in that, to try to get in the mood for that 10 minutes worth of meditation. So, with that said, and battery dying quickly, Lady Spitfire, it's good to see you back. The aliens lock their doors when they pass by Earth. Yeah, don't you know? Maverick, I went to look up the part about bringing memory through death, but it was a 404 error. We get no, there is no response from this IP address. Interesting stuff, a bit strange, but aren't we all? Yes, Maverick, we are all. But see, in this mix of craziness, though, I think that's what draws us together. I mean, in the old days, I was talking with my really ex-wife from back in the 70s, and my daughter's mother, and she called me up and she goes, I'm down here in, Alabama, and I moved out of, she misses Ohio, but she doesn't, your battery is running low. Yes, I know. I might need to plug in my PC. Okay. I'm saying goodbye to everybody. But the right kind of strange. Right. Um, it's probably, too many mushroom trips or whatever, but I used to get in trouble in school. I was like Robin Williams in school with the crazy voices and before I have just recently, due to Roku, I had never seen Mork and Mindy in all my life, and because we couldn't get ABC. We only got two channels, well, three channels. We had CBS, NBC, and PBS. Three stations. That's it. And there was no ABC around here for a long time. And if there was a thunderstorm, you didn't get Tallahassee and Albany, which is Channel 10 and an NBC station. But now that they've changed with the digital thing, there's an NBC station on Channel 10.1, on Channel 10.2. There's another one. So anyway, but with Roku, I'm watching old Mork and Mindy shows, and like, what? That's what you people were laughing about. So I didn't know that part of Robin Williams at the time. But back in the day, folks would, say, you're trying to copy Robin Williams. And I'd go like, what? Well, the Mork and Mindy show. I had honestly never seen a full episode until like last week. And so people back in the day thought, they blamed me for copying Robin Williams. And I was like, dude, no, I don't. I know who he is as a comic, but I've never seen Mork and Mindy. Oh, sure you have. Not up here. When I moved to South Georgia, it was like the dead zone. Not so bad now, but it was the dead zone. We had radio, but as far as television, it was the dead zone. It was the dead zone. Yeah. Duggar. He done wandered off again because I didn't take him inside. Anyway, he's probably getting chilly. I found his sweater, by the way, which you'll probably need in a day or two. Listen, I love you all. Richard, Michelle, Maverick, LOL, he's gone, disappeared by dead battery any second if that warning come up. And it is, I got 8%. So it gives me a minute, though, to say thank you to all y'all. And for every time I sit and have these little, let me hold this thing still a minute. I was trying to get to the computer so I could shut it down, but let me just hold this still. Come on, sit still. There's sand on this little table. But anyway, I feel when I was talking to my ex-wife about this the other day, and I said, there are people that I know in Australia and in the UK and, in Holland and in Germany and this place and that place, people in British Columbia and folks over here and down there, Arizona and New Mexico, Florida, and Kentucky. And if I missed your state, I'm sorry, Connecticut, Wisconsin, I could name all the states. But the idea, though, that it, I had the choice to not start this channel. And I'm so glad I did, simply because I've made all these wonderful friends and different points of view from different parts of the world. And I don't travel much anymore, right? But to be able to communicate with people and just, whatever whatever it is, this thing I do is, to me, is a blessing. And also it's a reassurance that sometimes when the universe says, build it, they will come. You know what I mean? Field of dreams. And in that, my doing this on the internet was a field of dreams, in that, build it and they will come. You have to have faith. So, and depending on what it is, some could say, well, Dave, you ain't worth the shit. Okay, that's all right. Everybody's got their own opinion, and it's all right. I'm good with that. But at the same point, if a bunch of folks, 16 supposedly at the moment, are here and sharing and being caring and loving and want to laugh and joke around and, and not get on anybody's case or anything. But we all know we can agree to disagree, but we all want a similar thing. And that's to be more peaceable on earth, to have justice, for God's sakes. I was listening to one of the politicians here in Georgia. Yes, the battery is fixing to die. Maverick. I hear you. Sometimes I swear to God, I hear you people in my head. Sometimes maybe that's not a good thing, but I have a good time. See, and if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't, quote, stuck my neck out in the universe, then you lovely people I would have never met in any way, shape, or form. And you may not have met some of the people that are sharing this experience in the chat room. So, so this idea of the connection, regardless of what I got to say sometimes, it's amazing to me that because we were here, 16 people got to hang out together and share their energy. And with the laughter or whatever, the topic and the love that we have, and that when we sign off, we're all in, for at least a moment in time, we're all in harmony. You know what I mean? With either the laughter or the whatever it is, and the cosmic hugs at the end, and I love you too, and hearts and everything. You see, that's being sent to the universe. That is all around me, and I feel your love in this cosmic hug. And the closest one may be, no, I think Lady Spitfire, you're probably, at the moment that I know of, probably the closest, being in Georgia, right? But anyway, with that said, 6% Maverick. But so, in particular about what we say, but it's how we say it with each other, and the more I'm like around and trying, especially since Brian's been gone, there are times when I feel like he's sitting right next to me, and like he was sitting next to me last night for a little while. And I take that and I think to myself, that you're never gone unless you forget a person. And as long as you honor those who have passed, their energy and their life will not be forgotten, you know. So the people that we love and we know and we have known, then we continue their memory with honor. And on the 20th, I'll do a little promo for the Andromeda ladies, but Michelle and some of you in there and Teresa, you all know about that, and we'll pass it among each other. But for whatever the reason, we're going to hang out and we're going to honor Brian, but we're also going to honor the universe with positive energy. Now, on the 21st, it'll be separate with me and whoever wants to show up. So, with that, I say I love you, and I honestly do. Thank you. The prayers and the energy that we're sharing with the universe. I turn around and there are times when I think nobody's paying attention. And then I hear a story about this lady who traveled, through several states, but everywhere she went, she stopped for gas at a restaurant. The people were nice and considerate, and they were warm and welcoming rather than being snotty and obtuse and whatever. So I think to myself, that's how I am when I go to different stores and things. And there are people like in the Arby's the other day, that black lady, I love her. I do. I can't remember her name, but she's like, "Oh, Mr. Dave, how are you? I see you, honey. Come on in. What you need this time, you know, and I love it. I love it. And it's, people talk about racial inequality or, white people, black people, and racism. We're the deep South where they used to hang niggers on the courthouse lawn. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And so we don't do that anymore. But so people don't understand what the true South is. We kind of kissed and made up a long time ago. So this idea that there's racism everywhere, I'm sorry, it just isn't true. They're spreading a lie because everywhere I go, there's blacks, there's whites, there's this, there's that. There are two white people beating each other, two black on black crime, Mexican versus Mexican. Sometimes there's a crossover, but in Albany, there was a shooting. I'm sad to say, but they're having more and more. But it was a black man in a black neighborhood shooting out the window, drive-by kind of thing. It's a shame. But, this idea of us whiteys against the darkies from the old days in the South just ain't true anymore. Oh, and by the way, I was thinking about ain't earlier. And I was thinking, ain't no sunshine when she's gone because it's cloudy outside, right? Ain't no sunshine. And I thought, now, if they had chosen a different word in that particular song, now get me on this. There isn't any sunshine when she's gone. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't a word, but if ain't wasn't there, ain't no sunshine when she's gone would not be a song. So earlier I was just staring out the window at the clouds going, ain't had to be there in that song lyric. There wasn't ain't another word that could have fit in there. But anyway, so my ending prayer, and I honestly do mean this every time. So give you all a cosmic hug, Maverick, Michelle, Project, Ian, Maverick. I think if I missed you, and anybody else out there that ain't logged in at the moment, we love you. It's okay. I continue to pray that each and every day, my hat is off to y'all. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. It's there. Each and every day I wake up, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your acquaintances, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom and the blessings from the universe. And in that law of three, I continue to pray each and every day I do that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive and continue to share the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe with all of your friends and neighbors, all of your relatives and your relations. So, in that, as what you call it would say, the I can't think of his name now. Get her done, folks. Just get her done. Keep up the good work, and I'll be with you soon. This is Tuesday, right? Was that right? Yeah. Okay. So this is Tuesday. The 15th. So 5 days, 6 days is the 21st. I'll let you know between now and then the time and the date and all that kind of thing. If you want to join a short meditation.